Hello Book Club, hosted by Heather Skinner. Gemma and I are so excited to have Joni Hugues here with us today. She is the author of Growing Only Dandelions, and you voted in her beautiful book as our June 2022 feature from its quote, "It is the feeling of isolation that the ugliness has represented to me, torturing me throughout my entire life. It is the feeling of unity that it now represents to me. We all feel ugly at times." Remember while you're watching this interview to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you will know right when each video posts this month to follow along with every part of our June feature. This interview will post in 2 parts. Part 2 will come out next week. Hi, Joni, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, I am so excited to be here, and I'm so happy my book was chosen. I cannot wait for you to read it. Have you started it yet?
Oh my God, so I picked it up to start it.
No, you didn't.
It's 2 days. In 2 days.
In 2 days. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it started. And I couldn't put it down.
Well, that's what I tell people when they do read the book. I highly recommend staying with it because there's so much going on. I don't want you to lose momentum. So you did it exactly right. You read it straight through. I'm sure. Yes, 2 days. Perfect. And you enjoyed it?
Oh my God, I love it. I'm writing the review.
Oh,
and,
wonderful.
I can't wait to continue to discuss it during this month with everybody because it's just
Me too. I love hearing other people's influences on this because I always get a different perspective. I'll speak to someone and they'll mention a part in my book and they say to me, "No, was that what you intended?" I'm like, what I intend is for whatever you get from the book. Emma, do you have a question for me? Because I would like to hear what you have to say.
Yes, do you mind holding your book up again? Because she likes to look at the covers and ask a question. It's such a beautiful cover, isn't it?
Gemma, how old are you? Can I just ask that?
6.
Wow. Big girl. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready for your question.
So, is it a romance book?
She wondered if the little girl grows up and has a romance. She had asked me if it turns into a love book, she called it when she told me her question before, which I thought was so cute.
There is definitely a lot of elements of love in this book. I wouldn't call it a romance novel, and it's really hard for me to call it any specific type of novel. Now that you've read it, Heather, I'm sure that you could appreciate that, right?
Yes, I'm actually going to bring that up a little later on too, because there are so many elements in it too to try and peg where to put it.
Exactly. So the only thing I can really say is it's a nonfiction.
There we go.
No, I mean, actually, it's a fiction. It's not a nonfiction.
Well.
It's a fiction. Exactly. It's a fiction book, but otherwise there's a lot going on with it. And I hope that whoever does read it, they just take something away from it. And it's always meant to be positive. There's a lot of negative in it, but the purpose of the negative is to find the positive. And a lot of my readers do find that. Good question.
Yes.
There's a lot of love in the book, though. There really is.
Yes, that's true. And that was a good question. What do you want to say for answering your question?
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I would love to take this start at the beginning here for you to give a little description of the book to the readers, the new to you readers.
The description of the book would basically be, it's about a woman who has a near-death experience, and it just takes her and the reader on a spiritual and emotional journey. Throughout the book, she interacts with people from her past, and she actually has the ability to go back to the past and experience it again. And then the beauty of it is, in hindsight, she learns from these experiences. So it really, in my perspective, is a very touching, beautiful book that speaks of life and death and gives it a new, I guess, purpose, that it doesn't just end with death. That's really a very important fact of my book, is I don't believe that life ends with death. I believe we continue. That's my own personal belief. This is not a religious book. It's just a spiritual book. And that's my belief. And that's what I really put forth in the book. So that's basically what it is, but there's a lot going on in this novel.
Yeah, I love the way you do it in the book too, because you don't have to be religious to enjoy it. Like, there are the religious themes there, but it's not like, it's just part of the story.
Exactly. I personally believe in God. Other people might call it the universe. Other people might call it Buddha. Other people might, whatever they want to call it. The whole idea is everyone believes in something. And so that's why I think that they can connect to the book, even if they don't believe in God.
Yeah, I think so too. You have it set in such a way, it's really easy to connect and just really follow the character's journey. And it's a really beautifully written story. I love it.
I'm so happy that you read it before we had this interview so that you really could appreciate it's written in a way also, because I know that there's certain ways to write a book as far as proper sentences and grammar. And there's a lot going on that's more focused about, I would say, more of a poetry type of book. It's more poetic in a sense that it talks to the heart more than it talks to the mind.
Yes.
So, right? Did you feel like the movement?
Yeah.
The book was supposed to be like a movement. It's a flowing book. So just keep that in perspective when you're reading the novel. It really is more a poetry emotion to keep you interested, keep you moving, keep the rhythm going.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned it kind of with the poetry, because I felt like your descriptions feel like poetry
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
That's something I know I'm gonna be putting in the review. I'm trying to find the right way to word it, because your
Yes.
wording is so beautiful in the book. Like
Thank
the way
you.
you give like these human features to the ocean, and your
Yes.
descriptions are just done in such a way I've never seen before. It's
Oh,
gorgeous.
thank
It's like
you.
poetry. Yeah.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted it to be. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I really loved this read, and it was like, and we'll go back to talking about the genres, because I know
Okay.
you were saying it is kind of hard to peg it into one.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what you peg it as, because we there's religious themes.
Mhm.
Um,
I
and
say
there's
spiritual. I would say it's a
yeah,
spiritual book.
spiritual,
Yeah.
and very inspirational moments. There are some
Yes.
very dark moments.
Mhm.
There are times when we're following adult characters, times when we're following like middle grade age characters.
Yes, and
And
that's
think
why I say
also,
how important it is to continue reading it, because I don't want you to get lost. If you stay with the book, you don't get lost in the transition between a child to a teenager to an adult. But if you were to perhaps put the book down for a little bit and try to resume, it might be a little difficult.
yeah.
But I understand I'll put this out to your followers. It is a difficult book to read. There are a lot of triggers in this book. It's hard topics. It touches on abuse, bullying, cutting, depression. There's a lot going on, but the whole idea of it is to show the flip. How, yes, there's so much sadness, but there's so much beauty. And that's what I want people to get from the book.
Yes. You have a quote. I forget exactly how it's said, but I think it's so dark to help you see the light.
Yes,
That you post,
exactly.
and I think that's beautiful.
Thank
that really shows in your book.
Thank you.
And I noticed she struggles like anxiety and
Yes.
depression. On the writing end, what was it that made it very important for you to put that in? Like, is it just that message of you can
Well,
get
I true to form, Bethany really is a part of me. I have suffered with anxiety and depression. A lot of these stories aren't my own, but they are similar. In some of them is similar to what I've experienced, and I'm a very emotional person. So that's why you're able to see my descriptions are very, you feel that emotion, because that's really, you're feeling me. Bethany really is me in a sense. All her anxiety, I felt that way, her getting really dark in that hole, just feeling so sad. I've done that. I've been that person. And I know, I will tell you, probably most people have felt that way. It's just not really spoken about. So, mental health is very important to me. And I wanted it to be seen in this book that it is normal. It's actually normal, because there's so many people who go through it. And me for one as well.
I mean, this is a really good time for people to read it too, because I think it's great in the world. There are more conversations now about
Yes.
anxiety and depression. There's more weight put behind it. There's more understanding going on. So I think that that's really great that you're putting it out there, and more people will be able to really connect with it and talk about it. So I think that's a really good timing out there in the world now.
Yes, and it's
Especially.
also, again, the whole idea behind speaking so fluently in my book about the depression aspect of it was to show, look how beautiful other aspects of her life turned out to be. And I personally love the story. And the thing that I would like to share with you about my novel is, when I sat down to write my novel, I just thought, oh, I could write a story that, like, this is how I thought I could write a story. I could write a story about a drowning. I could really articulate a drowning, because I like to swim and I knew how that experience would feel. So I sat down one day and I said, okay, I'm going to write a book about a drowning. Now, if you read my book, you will know that the drowning is one chapter. That is chapter 1. So what comes next? How did I get to the next chapter? And again, I'm spiritual. So what I legitimately did was, at the end of each chapter, I prayed for the next chapter to come. And that's how each chapter came about. I wrote a chapter, I wrote the drowning, and I said, oh no, what's next? I don't know. Please, God, help me continue this book. I really feel like it's something that needs to be written. I don't know what it's about. I don't know where it's going, but please show me what the next chapter would be. And then when I'd sit down, the idea would come and I would continue on. And that's how the story came about.
Oh, that's really cool. I love
Yeah.
hearing how your process worked out. And I know one of our members, Bonnie Jean Yepson Weinman, she had been wondering if you were a plotter or a pantser. So if
Yeah,
you
well,
didn't know any of it, now she knows.
now she knows there was no plot. The only plot was the first chapter.
I love it. And I have to say, like, for sitting down and writing it that way, you did such a beautiful job connecting things that I didn't see coming. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was
Well,
building up to that.
Another thing, so I wrote the whole book, and then I went back and obviously I reread it again. And then when it came to the title, I don't know if you found where the title was mentioned. Okay, so it's the title's mentioned in a certain chapter that was written after the book was written, and I decided what the name of the book would be, and then I had to figure out how to put that in the story, and then that's how it got into the book. So that was the last thing I wrote in the book.
Wow. Oh, that is so cool.
Thanks.
And, you know, speaking of the dandelion part, I had been curious because I know, like, I've researched dandelions because I just love everything about them. A lot of people think of them as a nuisance weed, but you can do so much. You can eat them, you can put them in teas.
I learned so much about dandelions after I wrote the book because my readers, you know, who do get the results from the book that I wanted, they get really impacted by it, and it carries on with them. So whenever they see a dandelion or anything that's dandelion-like, they send it to me. So I've learned a lot about dandelions since I've written this book, and they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
What is it that drew you to using dandelions before you had done all that, like hearing more about them?
Okay, so are you asking me why the book has dandelion as the title?
Like as the title and kind of incorporated into the book.
The reason why dandelion became part of the title is, I don't know if you noticed, but in my novel, I used the number 3 a lot. And now that you might notice it now that I'm saying it, but I use 3, third, anything with 3, any variations of 3, I used that a lot. And that was my way of praying for the next chapter to come. So, and it was like, I actually played with it a lot. I would love to know how many times 3 shows up in this book, because it really is that many times. And so when it came to naming my novel, originally it was going to be called Forgiven. And it just didn't sit right with me. I mean, it's a good title, but it's not unique. And I didn't think it would stand out. And then it didn't seem appropriate because I kept on saying 3 words, 3, 3, 3. So I knew I needed 3 words in the title. And then I didn't know what 3 words it should be, but I did know, and this is a little secret that I'll share with you and your readers, that I wanted it to be an acronym for God. So Growing Only Dandelions is actually an acronym for G-O-D, God.
Oh my goodness. I never would have figured that out. That is
yes,
so
most people do not. And that's why I always tell someone when they finish my book, I say, please reach out to me. I need to share something with you. So I knew I wanted to be an acronym for God. The G came, all right, growing. And then the O suddenly came only. And I did not know what to do with the D. I had no idea. And then I was like, well, if we're talking about growing something, dandelion, I have always loved dandelions. It wasn't like dandelions meant so much to me, but the word dandelions came and I was like, yeah, that sounds really good. And it's amazing to me because if it didn't have dandelions in the name of the book, I really don't think it would get as much friction as it has gotten, because people love the name. And I attribute it to, you know, the higher powers that are really helping me with this novel.
Oh, I love that. And then you went on to have the dandelion picture on the cover, which I believe is a drawing that you made of your daughter when she was 9.
Yes. So this picture is a drawing that I had done of my daughter. We go to Pennsylvania and there was a field that she was in and I just drew it. And I drew it not for the purpose of the book. And when I came up with the title, then I saw my drawing, an old drawing that I had done. I said, oh, that would work perfectly. And that's how she got on the book.
Oh, I love that. Does she love being on your book?
Yes. She will. One day she'll really appreciate it. But right now, I mean, she really does like that picture.
It's a beautiful picture.
Thank you. Yes. And she's also, I mean, I know you don't have the hard copy, but she's also my profile picture that, as you see on Facebook, that's also her.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I've been seeing all of your beautiful drawings. I love that. We can definitely talk about that. So you take commission drawings.
Yes.
And you make them for people of like their pets and their kids, and it's gorgeous. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Well, sometimes people will reach out. As you said, I have it on Facebook. So I have a Facebook page that shows my portfolio of pictures and drawings. And sometimes people reach out to me and I encourage them to do so. And they message me, and all they have to do is just message me a photo. And just from there, I draw it. So it's not like something has to be shipped to me or, or mailed to me. And sometimes I say yes to the photo and sometimes I do not, because not all photos are suitable for drawings. Sometimes they have too much shadows. Sometimes there's just too much going on. And I really like to draw, pictures that are going to turn out to be beautiful. And sometimes it's just not suitable. So I'm always like, send me more, send me more. I really want to do a drawing for you because I find it amazing that, especially because we're connected. Like, where are you located?
I'm in New York actually too.
Oh, you are in New York? Where?
Yeah, I'm closer to Albany.
Oh, okay. But you see on Facebook that you can reach out to all different states. So my drawings, when people contact me, I have shipped to, to Ohio and, Illinois. I'm all over the place. I find it amazing. Amazing to know that my drawing is hanging up in someone's house in Ohio.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it
such
so
a
much.
beautiful like family memory for them to just
Yes.
keep and pass on for so
Yes,
long.
that's the whole idea. If they have a young child, I just think it's so nice. Just, or even, in memory ones as well. Yes, I enjoy the difference for drawing and writing for me is drawing really is methodical. So it's soothing and it's, it's just easy, comforting. Writing is deep thought. That is a lot harder. It really takes and you know how life is. There's so much going on. There's so much chaos in our minds. That's really hard to silence up here to concentrate and write. But I am writing my second novel. It's called Hemlock. And it's actually based on a true life experience about a bad experience with a Ouija board. So it's a completely different take than Growing Only Dandelions. Yes. Hopefully,
oh, that's so exciting.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully it'll be done once I can silence this mind and really concentrate. I'm picturing another year because you have to do the whole run through of writing the book. And then at least with me, I go back and I read it again and read it again. I send it out to some people to see if they have any edits on it. And then I'll try again to get published, this Growing Only Dandelions, Growing Only Dandelions was self-published. I'm going to try to be traditionally published. But again, if Hemlock does not go traditional, I'll do self-published again. But another thing I just like to point out, I'm really happy that Growing Only Dandelions was self-published. And the reason being, Hemlock, this other book, isn't close to my heart like this one. Like this one's really personal and emotional. And this is like my baby. And I know that if it went to a traditional publisher, they would have, input on the cover, on the title, on the positioning of the chapters, or, strike throughs and edits and changes. And I didn't want anyone to touch this book. This book is my book. All the words, the cover, the title, it's all mine.
So you did your own editing and everything too?
Yes. I mean, I sent it out to family members, friends, and, please point out if you see a duplicate word. And even like, say, if you've read it, I've had readers reach out, out to me and say, oh, I saw on page 5 that, you had an extra period or something on there. And I say, thank you. And I correct it. But no, I didn't want someone to, strike through, because these words really were chosen very specifically to create an experience of an emotion. So I didn't want someone to take that away. So with Hemlock, if someone needs to change things around, I'll be fine with that.
I'm really excited to hear that you are making another book, because I think I was looking through some of your posts and I think you had said something at one point where like you were planning on just having that as your one and only novel.
Yes.
So I was curious if you were ever planning on writing again. So I'm happy to hear you're going to be putting more work out. What made you change your mind?
It's just that the story that is based on a true life story, I've always shared it. And I know that it would grab people's attention. Okay. And also a little thing is I believe that since Growing Only Dandelions is a spiritual novel, it kind of takes away from people wanting to read it. I don't know why, but it kind of puts a little bit of a negative on it. I don't know why, but I believe that Hemlock, the horror scary book that I will put out, will make people really interested. Hemlock's going to be great. It's going to make people really interested in that book, really interested in me as an author. And then people are going to really want to read this book. And this is what I really want people to read, truthfully. Because I know it's helped. I've had people reach out to me and just have shared with me such loving stories of how it's just helped them. And that's all. It's really, can we call it a self-help book maybe?
I know there's so many genres that it can wrap
Yes.
up in. And it's wonderfully written. The way
Thank
you
you.
tie everything together. It's
Thank you.
amazing. Yes, I'm
I'm
looking
so
forward.
happy you enjoyed it. I
I
really am.
really did. Yeah. I surprised myself. I didn't plan to sit down and just read it all in 2 days. I'm like, wow, wow, it's done. How did I do that? That was great.
And then most of my readers come, are you going to do a sequel to it? Because, it's really open that there's a wide door open that I could do a sequel to this easily.
You could, yeah, because it does feel complete at the end, but there's also so much room that you left where you could. Do you ever plan on doing that?
Well, I did leave that door open in case I ever wanted to revisit it.
It's a good way to do it. That way, if you feel like you've got something you want to add on, it's there. But
Exactly.
if not, it is complete. Like you can read
Yes.
it and feel there's a good closure at the end.
Thank you. Oh, good. I'm happy you got that.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Let's see. We have David Itier. His name usually shows up as his YouTube channel. He has a beautiful garden channel called Cactastic. So if you saw his comment on there, he said, "Congrats for winning the June feature," and he was really intrigued by the quote. Why did you choose that quote to represent your book? Like to dig a little deeper into it.
Okay. The reason why I chose that is because honestly, as I've been saying, I feel like we all go through different sadnesses. We all have, everyone can tell you a story about, someone who passed away and that broke their heart, or a disease, or just that everyone has constant negativity that goes around. And for some reason, we always feel like we're alone and we don't want to share it. And we take it and we deal with it by ourselves. But the point of that quote was to show that we all experience that. And that actually makes us more connected than apart.
It's a very good representation of your book.
Thank you.
There's a reoccurring question in the book club that I have the first Friday of every month.
Okay.
About what actors and actresses you would picture if your book ever became a movie. So
which I would love for my book to become a movie, because then I know my father will definitely see it. So that would be good. But I had given this some thought, and I really tried. I'm not really much of a TV movie person to even, name some names. And then I didn't want to take it away from the story because I don't want to create an image for someone else. So all I could say is that there would be 3 female characters. That would be a young Bethany, a teenage Bethany, and adult Bethany. Her mom would be a very strong character. Did you like the mom?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Her father would be a character as well. We definitely have one of my favorite characters, Tommy. I hope you like Tommy, right?
Yes.
I love Tommy. And then Tara would be, and then we would have Miss Irene as a character. Also, Tara's children would be part of it. And Alice would also have a role in it. So there's a lot of characters that would be easily come to life, but I wouldn't want to put a face on it for you because I'd prefer for you to put your own face on it.
You know what I found interesting about your read for me, like the way it resonated? Because normally with that question, I can look up ideas and be like, okay, this actor, this actress. And I don't know why, like I read it so fast, like I kind of pictured them as like essences, like I didn't have faces for them. And I'm not sure why. It didn't bother me. But like, I don't know if it's because I read it so fast. So that's why I was really intrigued to hear your answer, because I was wondering kind of what you were picturing. I started thinking like, were there descriptions I missed? But not in a bad way.
No,
like,
no.
Like I could picture them still in a way reading. It was very different for me, like from any other reading experience. And I'm not sure why I didn't.
Well, then maybe you have to go back and read it again.
I think I might too, because now you've got me curious how many 3s there are.
Yes.
I almost want to keep a track.
Now, actually, there's this one woman who, it's such a flattering comment that she has made to me, that on a yearly basis, in the beginning of the year, she reads my novel because she wants to set the tone for her year, and it just is uplifting to her. So, I mean, some readers just say the most kindest things to me. And I just wanted to show, like, one of my readers had made this for me. A cozy.
Oh.
Isn't that so nice? She had seen the dandelion. So she made me it for my book. So I put my book in here. And so, I mean, they're just very, very nice.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
You know, when you touch someone's heart, you know, they're eager to touch yours. And that's very nice.
You are offering a giveaway this month in the book club. Did you want to talk about that? Like how to enter, when to enter by, and what the prize will be?
I'm definitely going to give away one of my paperbacks. It won't be signed, unfortunately, because I I have my copy of Growing Only Dandelions, but I do not have like tons of copies of Growing Only Dandelions because I have to buy them myself. So what I will do is the winner will get it from Amazon. So I'll just, ask for their address and then I'll purchase it for them and send it to them. As for the contest is concerned, I don't know, maybe you and Gemma could come up with an idea. I'm not really good at figuring these things out, but I would love it to go to someone who genuinely enjoyed the book and then, just would like to have a hard copy to keep.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in for part 1 of our interview with Joni Hugues, the author of Growing Only Dandelions. Tune in next week for part 2 of this interview. To enter this exciting book giveaway offer by Joni Hugues, check out her bio in the description below, follow her pages on social media, and then comment to let us know how many of her pages you followed, and each follow will be an entry. Other giveaway entry opportunities will come up on our Facebook group page throughout this month, so keep your eye out. YouTube-only members who don't have Facebook accounts, you can also enter by commenting on this interview. We would love to hear more of your questions, and also it'd be really fun to hear maybe your favorite flower. Bring up some more discussions, maybe even what kind of picture would you submit for commission that you would love to see Joni Hugues draw for you. Each comment will be an entry. Happy reading!